Finger with their special sauce. Open daily, locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's, it's always good. And I'm S'mores East 12, meteorologist Master 4.
The Radio 92.7.
Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports. Now, nearly 6 years to the day since he was named to the position, Tony Ingle is stepping down as the head coach of the Dalton State Roadrunners basketball team, effective today. A national search will commence immediately. Assistant coach Alex Ireland will assume the head coaching duties in the interim. He's a mentor and a motivator and a friend, and he's touched the lives of countless young men and inspired anyone who meets him. We won't say goodbye to Tony and his family because they will always be a part of the Roadrunner team. Just wish Tony and his family all the best in the coming years. Coming from Dalton State President Dr. Margaret Venable. Ingle claims that retirement will allow him more time to devote to his church, public speaking, and to his family. Meanwhile, GPS announced the new head varsity basketball coach for girls in Jana Eichelberger. Eichelberger comes from Tennessee State University, where she's been an assistant with the women's basketball program. Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7.
Nuga Radio.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, City of Chattanooga. It's your girl, Marie Mott, on the Marie Mott Show. It's raining outside, but that's okay, because rain is something that's necessary for our growth. Sometimes if we don't go through things, then we won't grow. And of course, I'm taking it from the streets to City Hall, from City Hall to the mayor's office, can't leave out the police department, from the valley low to the mountaintop, giving you a bird's eye view to what's going on in the city of Chattanooga. Good morning to you. Good morning to the people who are tuning in on my Facebook, people tuning in on the 92.7 FM, people tuning in via YouTube and on the Nuga Radio Facebook page. I thank you so much for listening. I'm thankful for all of the love that I'm receiving on my show. I'm even thankful for some of the people who may not even like or agree with what I say, because I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to speak to you, and that some of you guys out there, some of my listeners, I love you guys, that you're open to dialogue and being objective about change. The only way that we are ever going to change what is happening and what we see is first to acknowledge what's going on, but then that we can have those conversations that we should, if we can't have them at the least, if we can't have them in public, we should be having some of these conversations over dinner, over coffee, at church meetups, at a church function. We should be able to have some of these conversations. It has to start with a talk. If we can't talk, then we cannot get to a change. And that's what I'm all about. Whether you like it or not, I'm here for you. And today we're going to be talking about stopping Gestapo tactics of police with intelligence and lawful perspective by knowing your rights. The call in today, as always, is 800-8949 if you want to call in and chat with me. But I wanted to cover this, and I put it out on Facebook to ask people if they wanted me to cover their rights, because I believe that a lot of us, because we haven't spent tens of thousands of dollars going to law school, a lot of us are very, very ignorant. And there's nothing wrong with saying that you're ignorant of something, saying basically, I don't know. That a lot of us are ignorant to our rights. And when we get stopped and when we get pulled over, or when we encounter police, we don't sometimes know what to do. And especially for my listeners who may be women, my listeners who may be of color, my listeners who are part of my beloved LGBTQ plus community, some of us who are struggling with mental health issues or problems. Of course, we're automatically frustrated when we have to deal with police, because we know for a fact that police do not go through sensitivity training. And then when you look at police factions like the Chattanooga Police Department, which is almost 90% white male, with little diversity, little women, very few women representation within the ranks, and definitely very few representation of various different ethnicities of color, from Asian to Hispanic to African American. What that means is that we have an overwhelming majority not only of male, but of Caucasian male, which makes it very, very difficult, especially if these males do not come from the community. They're not interested maybe in the community. Their only interaction is when they come as a response to a problem. Then what we are encountering are people who just don't have a relationship. And if it's not important to the mayor, it's not important to city council, and then it's not important to the police chief for there to be a push for reformation in the form of community oversight, as well as enforcing that these police officers that I often see hanging out in empty parking lots, really what they should be doing is they should be walking in the streets. They should be walking in the streets and observing what's going on and building a relationship with the people. Why? Because we've done that before. I think in some ways we need to create some new avenues. In some ways we need to go back. But talking about knowing your rights today is what I wanted to talk about. And so what to do? And again, the call-in is 800-8949 if you want to call and chop it up with me. What to do when you're pulled over and what to do when you are stopped. So class is in session. What to do? Heavy police threat in effect. And we know that is what it is here in the inner city. Know your rights, people. The first thing that I would recommend is to record the interaction. Now, we know that if we really want to be real and we really want to be honest, and we should be that, because my listeners, I'm sure the majority of people listening and tuning in are adults. We know that policing in the inner city has always been there's always been a heavy presence. We know that. We know that when we look at the interactions between police and in particular inner city, which have always predominantly been communities of color. Baby, just look back 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, when you see the eruption of civil rights. Look at the pictures. You see police officers with clubs and dogs and yelling, and some of that has not really changed. So now instead of whooping people upside the head with billy clubs, now the objective is just to 1, 2, 3, 4, you got to get out the car, and if not, then we drag you out by your extremities. And the sad part is that a lot of people think that crap like that is okay. It's not, because I want you to stop and think about that. If that was your grandma, would you be in an uproar? Absolutely. If the simple answer to that question that I just asked you is yes, then don't be a loser and hop on the Nooga Radio page or on my post talking about, well, they should have complied. Well, you know for darn sure, if that was your grandmama, you would be ready to set the city on fire. So we can't be partial when it comes to situations like this. And I think a lot of people, especially for people who've never had to live in black skin or brown skin, if we be really, really honest, a lot of people out there have no idea. You wouldn't have a clue what it's like when a councilman says that he's been pulled over 30-something times. You know, I would question if a lot of the people who want others, their neighbors to comply. Have you ever been pulled over 30-something times as long as you've been alive? Is your experience with police what you think the experience is of your brothers and sisters? And the reality is that a lot of you out there, I'm encouraging you to talk to somebody other than the voice in your head, which helps you believe that all people are created equal and treated equal. We are created equal, but we're not treated equally. We're not policed equally. And for a 30-year-old young lady such as myself to say that when I've been pulled over, I've never been pulled over by just one officer. Folks, that's a problem. I'm not that old. I'm 30 years old. I turned 30 in March. I'm not that old. It should be absolutely no reason that if I get pulled over and, I'm not doing drive-bys or anything like that? Why am I being pulled over by often 3, 4, or 5 police officers? And I'm just one young lady that's about 5'2". I can barely box with anybody taller than me. So the first thing I'd say is record the interaction, because a lot of what we are finding out, it's not really new, but it's now, as David Toulis would say, my compadre, we are all now members of the press. Thank God for cell phones, because now not only can we quickly capture an interaction, but then that interaction could be displayed all around the world in a matter of seconds. And sometimes, now, and this is why it's important to have these conversations, because I think sometimes a lot of people don't really know what it's like to be a person of color in America. A lot of the distrust that we have with police, it's an ingrained distrust because it's always been there. But the distrust also comes from when we capture these instances. I want you, the listener, to stop and think about this. I report, you decide, but hopefully I report and you think, you consider that a lot of Black and brown bodies in this country have stopped and recorded these instances of people being beaten by police, shot in the back by police, murdered by police. And even with the evidence, people still go free. Stop for a second. I want you to think like 5 seconds about that. Now, imagine not only that happening once, but that happening again and again and again. That's what life is like in America for a lot of people of color. Is that even though we are now members of the press and we can record these instances, it still sometimes often won't hold up in court. And we don't get justice. So know your rights, folks. Record the interaction. They are your best defense. Number 2, do not talk to the police or answer any questions. All right, so number 1 was record the interaction. Number 2, do not talk to the police or answer any questions. When your Miranda rights are read to you, what do they say? Everything that you say can be used against you in the court of law. If they read you your Miranda rights, that's what they tell you. Put your hands behind your back, sir or ma'am. You're under arrest for such and such and such and such and such. Anything you say or do can be used against you in the court of law. So you may be infuriated. You may be innocent. Zip it. All right. The time to fight it out, unfortunately, we got to give up a lot of money, spend a lot of time to prove our innocence. And we know why the judicial system, the police machine, the system as itself is a cash cow. And the moment you get in handcuffs, they know that you are cha-ching. You are money. You are money. And time is money. So you spend double the money. Okay? So keep your mouth shut. Okay? So we got that. Number 1, record the interaction. Number 2, anything you say, it can be used against you. Number 3, ask, because you have that right. Ask why you're being stopped. Officer, why are you pulling me over? Okay. Am I being detained? Have I been implemented in a crime? And if I am not, so if the answer to that question is I'm not being detained, they say, oh, well, your tail light is out. And you say, well, are you going to write me a citation for that? Or, sir, you're going to let me go? Ask for permission. Am I free to go? Okay, so number 1, record the interaction. Number 2, shut your mouth. A lot of us are so fiery because a lot of times we are being harassed by the police. But keep your mouth shut. You'll have your day in court, okay? Number 3, ask if you're being detained. If not, ask, can you go? Number 4, which is probably one of the biggest ones, which was one of the reasons why I covered Malik's interaction with police the other day. Do not, and I mean never, consent to a search. Let me repeat that. Never, ever, ever consent to a search. Police have no right. Now, if they do it, that's okay. And this is why it's important for you to record what's happening. Now, let me pause before I go in depth on number 4. Because one of the things that I keep seeing with police officers is that a lot of them, especially the ones who know what they're doing is wrong, that's either going to cause them to be fired or have some sort of disciplinary action against them. They'll try to grab your phone out of your hand and delete a video. At the least, be covert about it immediately. I think we need to start getting into the habit when we get pulled over. For those of you guys who have an iPhone, you know, the iPhone comes built in with a recorder that's like in the same folder file as like your calculator, your memo notes and everything else. For though I don't know what it's like on Android because I haven't had an Android in so long. But for my iPhone users out there who are listening to this, if you don't want to do a video, you still need to have a recording because at the least, make sure your volume is all the way up. Okay. And it has a little button that you can push for speaker. Okay. Record what's going on. So if you are afraid that maybe if they see you recording, because this has often happened, record just the sound, no video, but the sound. That's just as important. Okay. Y'all got that out there? Again, if you want to call in 800-8949 and chop it up with me. But at least they may not know that they're being recorded if you're not holding the phone in front of them, but at least you'll get the sound of the conversation. And what needs to be heard, if it's not seen, is that when they ask you for permission to search your residence or search your vehicle, you told them no, that they needed to produce a warrant or offer you reasonable suspicion. Okay? So say it again and again and make sure you get clarification. If they insist that it's reasonable suspicion, have them explain. But never consent. Because we often find that a lot of times when it becomes the instance of people being pulled over, people being stopped, that the charges that officers will place on them was not even the original intent of why they stopped them. We found this out with Diana Watt's case a couple of weeks ago. Supposedly she was driving without a driver's license, but that wasn't even one of the charges against her. Okay? So number 1, record. Number 2, keep your mouth shut. Number 3, ask if you're being detained. If not, ask can you leave. And number 4, like the biggest one, never consent to a search. A wise man once told me that it's not about the facts. Facts are what loses cases. And I said, well, what do you mean? Explain. Said it's not about the facts. It's about the law. Did they follow the letter of the law when they stopped you, when they detained you, when they searched you? Did they follow the law? The law is what helps you in cases. So if there is an illegal search, I don't care if they found 50 pounds of cocaine in your trunk. If they did not have the right to search your car, guess what? You're a free man. Now, I'm not encouraging or advocating for anybody to get into the drug game. Get you a real job, folks. Okay? Just saying. I'm just using that as an example. And let me make that very, very clear. But if they find something and they illegally search your car and you've made it extremely clear that you do not consent to a search, folks, that's in your favor. But I caution all of those who are listening, record the instance. So there is a record and it's not your word against theirs. I don't know if body cams can be edited. I don't know. But I know that with what I continue to see with police, they're not really here for our benefit in a lot of instances, despite the good ones that serve. All right. Number 5, be polite. As much as some of us don't want to, be polite, but firm. There's no reason for you to argue with the police. And that's why I wanted to go over knowing your rights. When you're intelligently armed, you don't have to argue with people. Okay? And a lot of times what I believe most of these officers are counting upon is that we don't know our rights. We don't know our rights. And they expect us to get irate and belligerent and to not work with them so they can use that as a means of suspicion. Well, why is she acting so suspicious? They don't understand that, our community just doesn't have a good relationship with police. And of course, our color doesn't, depending on if you're a person of color, it doesn't make it any better. They're automatically going to use that, your belligerence, your rude attitude, even if it's warranted, as a means of harassing you and possibly, more often than not, arresting you. Okay? We pay their salary. Y'all know that. And if you feel you're being intimidated, ask for a supervisor. Okay? Ask to speak to whoever's in charge of them. That's fine. You could do that. But be polite and be rational. Often when we are armed with intelligence and know our rights, they're intimidated by that, but they have no choice to let us go. I believe that. We're going to keep going into this a little bit if you are stopped, as in walking on the second half of the segment. I hope you guys continue to tune in because it's so important for us to know our rights. I believe that this is the only way that we're going to kind of stop these Gestapo tactics and being harassed by the police. And the more that we are informed, the more that we know, the more that we can control our own narrative of how we are interacting with police in our community. Stay tuned for the second half of the segment.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A car crashed in Cohutta last night and a man from Cleveland runs out, according to local police. Reports say he was found hiding in a building in Tunnel Hill after he crashed his car on Old Dalton Highway. Inside the crashed vehicle, officers say they found drug paraphernalia. Brandon Lee Wright taken into custody. Good news out of Ray County. Dolores Harshbarger, the woman who went missing over the weekend, is found safe. Reports say she is with her family at her original destination in Ohio after suffering some car trouble along the way. And a grand opening date has been announced for Miller Park downtown. The park is in the last stages of construction as part of a multi-million-dollar renovation and cleanup. The grand opening slated for 11 a.m. September the 14th. The project, part of a public-private endeavor between the city and multiple corporate sponsors, including EPB and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Action News now.
I live, work, and play in Chattanooga, the Scenic City. But when it comes to my next car, truck, or SUV, I'm Alabama bound. Fort Payne, Alabama, and Landers McClarty Ford. Big city selection of new and pre-owned vehicles with the small town price and friendly service. Now, I'm not knocking my hometown, but when it comes to my next ride, I only go to Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. Their selection is huge, but if I can't find what I want, they'll find it for me with the same low price, same great service, and only a short drive away. And I can go online to look around before I leave the house. Got that next dream ride in your head yet? Yeah, you do. Get a head start at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Don't just dream it, find it at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. That's right, Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne, Alabama.
Nuga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with? Eric. You're our winner. Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nuga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nuga Radio.
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio. 92.7.
You've seen the signs on the side of the road, the negative ads flooding our mailboxes. While all of this may make for a good headline, it's a bad deal for the voters of District 30. Tennessee doesn't need more mudslinging, which is why I've been campaigning on the issues, like improving our schools and bringing in more good jobs. And it seems like I'm the only one who is. My name is Joda Tongnapnua, and I'm running to be your state representative. I'll be on your ballot in November. If you believe in issues over insults, then I'm also asking you to write in Joda on Thursday, August 2nd. Paid for by Joda for TN30.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga roofing contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com. For Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Hey, Karen, you need me for that 1 o'clock?
Yes, Cheese, please. Karen, did you get the quarterlies done?
Yep, they're filed in the cabinet.
Karen, can you describe the initiatives to the new hire? Thanks.
Oh, sure. Full-bodied, some floral notes, maybe a hint of dark chocolate.
Am I in the right department?
Got wine on the mind? Come unwind at Virgola. Italian wine, oysters, caviar, cheeses, and more. Perfect after work or a romantic date night. Virgola Italian Wine Bar, 608 Georgia Avenue.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins. Are you tired of making 1% on your investments with the banks? Even 2 or 3% at best? Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins.
Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road. Chattanooga weather.
We've got lots of clouds with scattered showers and thunder showers rolling through your afternoon. High temperatures only to the upper 70s to near 80. Tonight, some lingering showers. Overnight lows 68 to 70. Around 80. Still some showers for most of the heavier rains to our east on Thursday. Lower 80s Friday. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily, locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's, it's always good. And I'm Swordy 12, meteorologist Matt Report.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Oh, shucks. It's the best thing on the radio, like ever. It's your girl, Marie Mott, with the Marie Mott Show here, talking about knowing your rights. Because I think that a lot of police officers, unfortunately, are expecting emotional responses from the people. And they are not counting on us to be intelligent and us to know and understand the law. Now, the funny thing, I'm a little satire, I believe in a little satire every once in a while. But one of the things that I see a lot of people, and I'm going to have to call them out. Unfortunately, a lot of them are Caucasian males. When they see any of my posts or David's post about police and relations with police, a lot of them make this blanket statement that said they should have followed the law. I never understand what the law is because that's all they write. I guess I need to go to the library and I need to find the book that says the law. And when I open it, I'm going to just see 2 pages. On one page it says the, and the other page it says law, the law. And then I'm going to close it and then that's it. Folks, don't do that. The law. At least if you're going to talk about the law, tell me what the law is, right? When I talked about the other day, about police are not obligated to protect you. They're not even obligated to aid you, but only to protect the city at large. Guess what I gave you? The law. I gave you the case. Warren versus the District of Columbia. I didn't just say the law. When I talked about the 14-year-old, Avery Gray's daughter, who was ripped out of the vehicle, I said Tennessee state law states that repossession is lawful unless it disturbs the peace. I didn't just say the law. Explain. Now, during the break, because I stream live on my Facebook, I was talking to some of the people who are tuning in via Facebook. One of them said that we need to go to city council meetings. And while I do agree, I also understand that shucks, just last week, one of the major meetings that they had for police was at 1:30. It wasn't at a time that was available to the community. If I'm waiting on this city council and this mayor to get up off of their behinds and do what's right, guess what? We're going to be waiting. It's time for us to do some grassroots things, which is why my show is not about show horsing political candidates, or even like some of my African American counterparts. They're talking about the Willie Lynch letters from hundreds of years ago. And the same people talking about it are the same people who are over control of the city council, who aren't doing anything about the police brutality, but they're talking to me about the Willie Lynch letter. And here it is. You have the opportunity to help your community right now. Oh, yeah. I'm saying it because I'm not afraid. They know who I'm talking to. You talking about the Willie Lynch letters, but ma'am, you on the city council. You can help your people right now. And you're not covering this on your radio show. Talking to the people of your oppressed district. My show is about the real. I'm here to not only to have some hard conversations, but hopefully to educate you guys about some things that maybe we don't know. How we need to carry ourselves in this community. When you look back and you look at the Black Panther Party on what made the Black Panther Party dangerous, a lot of people think it was just because it was black people with guns. That's not what made the Black Panther Party dangerous. What made the Black Panther Party dangerous is they had a 10-point program. And a lot of you guys, there's so many of you guys, I'm really encouraging you. Y'all need to read. Turn off the TV. Put your cell phone down unless the book is on your cell phone. Y'all need to read. The Black Panther Party had a 10-point program, which was half and half of constitutional rights and law based on where the person was. So not only did they show up on the scene with guns, but they knew the law. And that baffled police because a lot of them are just counting on people to be emotional. And let me say this, emotion and intellect in the frame of a person, because that's not how we were made. When you're being emotional, your brain is not working. If you're in fear, if you're operating in fear, your brain is not working. And so we need to change how we deal, because we can't change the police, because even our pleas with city council has not changed them. It has not moved them. It has not lit a fire up under them. They continue to excuse these behaviors. If we can't change the people in leadership and the police themselves, then we have to change how we deal with them. And if you want to take down your enemy, surprise them. Surprise them. That's what confuse the enemy. Okay? So today we're talking about knowing your rights. And right now we're going to get into what to do. We talked about at the break, before the break, what to do when you're stopped in your vehicle. Don't let them search it. Be polite but firm. Record the interaction. Do not answer any detailed questions. Ask if you're being detained or can you leave. Now, what to do when the cops stop you while you're walking? Now, I wanted to cover this because right now, my compadre, my partner my mentor, Mr. David Toulis, has written and supplied a glorious piece to the city of Chattanooga, as well as the city of East Ridge, about Title 55 and the legal understanding of travel. And if you want to call in and talk to me, 800-8949, 800-8949. Thank you to the people who are tuning in and watching this. Please remember to share this. Talk to your children, your family, your people about this, folks, because we got to change how we're dealing. It has to be grassroots. It's got to be a community effort. And that's what I'm all about. Title 55, the city of Chattanooga as well as East Ridge haven't really dealt with that. And as a matter of fact, have more or less said that it is constitutional, basically, to continue to pull people over who are privately traveling, which is not what the law states. So this is why it's important for us to know what our rights are and really begin to educate ourselves on the law. So what to do when the cops stop you? So if a cop says, hey, come here. You turn around. You ask, are you speaking to me? And they say, I need you to show your identification. You don't have to do that. You're not required to provide any identification. Again, we need to change how we deal with police. Ask the police continuously. Begin to ask police why they are stopping you. And like I said, we always got, all of us, even some of the poorest, brokest people got a cell phone. We got a cell phone. You see them pulling up or slowing down while you're walking. You know, act like you getting ready to make a call or you scrolling through Facebook. Immediately, what you need to be doing is recording. We talked about that just a few minutes ago. Start recording. And I'm telling you, we're going to start seeing a drop in some of these instances, or at least what we'll begin to identify as a pattern. And I'm going to get into that too. You don't have to show your ID. Now, if you feel compelled, that's totally up to you. But, you know, police don't have a right. They don't have a right to ask you what you're doing, why you are where you are. They don't have a right to ask you where you're coming from, where you're headed. You don't have to answer those questions. Let me repeat that. They don't have the right to ask you where you're going, where you're coming from. You know, do you have any weapons on you? The question you need to ask is, am I under arrest? Answer, you know, my dad used to get mad, and I'm going to have to. My dad used to get mad when I would answer his question with a question. He would always, don't answer my question with a question. This is the time where I need you to answer their question with a question. Am I under arrest? And continue to ask that question until they say yes or no. Am I being involved in a crime? Am I under arrest? If the answer to that question is no, or they're saying, well, you're refusing to tell me where you're coming from. You say, well, I don't have to do that unless I'm being implemented, or, you know, unless I'm being implicated in a crime or I'm under arrest, sir. And again, be polite, but be intelligent. This is how we start removing fear. Because if we're waiting on them to help us remove fear, it's never going to go away. We got to take matters into our own hands, but do it intelligently. And again, 800-8949 if you want to talk to me. Sir or ma'am, am I under arrest? Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. Talk to me.
Good morning, Marie. We love your show. Thank you so much for being on the air every day at 11.
No problem.
Well, listen, you're exactly on the right track. The question is, am I under arrest? But what does your listener say, Marie, when the officer says, no, you're being detained? Is there a difference between those two?
Is there a difference between being detained? Well, the next question I will ask is, why am I being detained? Can I can I speak to my lawyer? What am I being detained for? Continue to ask questions, because
that's exactly right.
We need
ask questions.
Ask questions.
You want to ask questions, and I think the big question is of all the questions you have, if you could just ask one, it would be, am I free to leave? If the officer says no, well, you're not being just detained, you are under arrest. And so at that point, your defenses should go up all the way around you. And that means that I'm not answering questions. I'm not giving any information. You're the one who stopped me. You've arrested me. So what do you want me for? Obviously, you're looking for me, right? You have a warrant for my arrest. Did you see me commit a crime? And no doubt the answer will be no in the officer's mind. But he has to have an articulable suspicion. He has to be able to articulate it to a judge. And so he should be able to articulate it to you, Marie, or the listener. And so you're asking the question, and you're exactly right. And I'll listen on the air. Thanks, Marie. Appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you. Folks, that was Mr. David Toulis, my mentor. The problem is that, and I understand where it comes from, right? The emotional response is because a lot of us are fearful. Maybe we don't have any state identification, right? Maybe we do have a warrant out for our arrest. All of that really does not matter. What matters is when an officer is stopping you, is he stopping you lawfully, detaining or arresting you lawfully? And has he answered your questions, read you your rights? And that's what we're going to start getting into that as well. So if the question is that he's detaining you, effectively arresting you, again, we got to go back to what we talked about before. And David just said it. Stop So the next question. So so they're detaining you, effectively ask, am I under arrest? Sir or ma'am, am I under arrest? Well, yes. Ask them why you're under arrest. You still have that right. And again, the camera should be rolling or the phone should be recording. And folks, if we get into the habit of doing this, I'm telling you all, a lot of you guys are going to go home free. Now, you're going to have to go through some trouble, but we'll begin to build a case. We won't just be able to say that we're being harassed. We'll have the evidence to prove it. We won't be able to just say that it's preferential treatment in some areas than others in the city of Chattanooga, which is a two Chattanooga divide. We'll be able to back it up with the proof. And so this is why we got to get smart. And I wanted to do the show dedicated to you, the listener, because you're my friend, you're my comrade, you're my neighbor. And you know what? I want you, and it doesn't matter what color you are, I want you to be protected. I want your individual rights to be respected. You hear me? I want you to be respected as an individual. And so the only way that we can start doing some of this stuff is to lay the foundation and the groundwork and be smart. Because I know I got some smart listeners out there. I want you to be smart and begin to take your power back. We need to take our power back because we gave it away. So if you give something away, you can take it back. Take your power back. That's the only way to remove your fear. Pull the power back and shift the dynamic and show who's really in control, who really is intelligent, who really knows the law. And I'm telling you, the police are going to have to change because the more people that they encounter that know, and the more evidence that comes out that they're harassing us and not following the law, I'm telling you, we won't have to beg city council to step in. It's going to have to happen. So you're under arrest. They tell you why, or maybe not tell you why. Ask them, will my rights be read to me? Ask them that. Make sure that they redo the Miranda rights. Okay? Or at least ask them to. If they didn't, again, these are just check marks of them not following the law. Do I have the right to remain silent? Of course. So if they don't read you your rights, yes, you need to continue to. The only thing you need to ask is questions. You don't need to answer anything or say anything other than that. So understand what it's all about. It's not really about you talking other than asking questions. Y'all hear me? I hope y'all are listening. I hope you guys share the heck out of this. Make it go viral, folks. I'm begging you. Because this is what I feel is going to be the only way that we're going to really start seeing a change. And then we're going to be able to start conferring notes. And I'm going to get into that right now. So after we've done all this, you found yourself entangled in the judicial system. Lord have mercy. Right? Some of us know what that's like. 12-hour holds, waiting on the magistrate, having to call your parents or your grandma or your wife or your uncle and find somebody to bail you out. Wait for them to do all the paperwork. And finally you go free. But now you're in a mess. What's the next step? What do we do after we've recorded? Right? We've laid the foundation. We've done the work. We need to take it a step further. For every person, and that includes people who are listening now who are in the middle of a mess as far as being stopped or arrested unlawfully, we need to start requesting open records on all of the officers who respond to calls. We need to start looking at their personnel file and seeing, do they have a behavior or pattern of harassing private citizens? And I want you guys, my email is mariemott@gmail.com, because I'm sure it's some cases out there I don't even know about. If you do an open records request, or if you need help with that, email me. Find me on Facebook by Marie, Marie, Mott, Mott. On Facebook, send me a message. Let me help you. But we need to start requesting the open records of these officers, because I'm guaranteeing you we'll find a pattern somewhere. We'll start seeing it. You have that right. The next step, I think a lot of people, Miss Watt, Avery Gray, Malik Sanford, just to name a few, but any of the others. Some of y'all need to start writing letters, a one-page letter, and send those letters certified mail to the mayor, the police chief, the governor, your senator, and make copies of that and email it to me. I would like to start building a file of personnel information, letters being sent to our city officials. So when it comes time to do a huge lawsuit, baby, it's a win. It's a win. It's a win. When it's time for us to take this government down, it's a win. Okay? Know your rights, folks. I wanted to do this show one time for my city, for my friends, my neighbors, my people. And that's all of you, every one of you, every person who's listening. Know your rights. Share this video. Make it viral. Let me help you. mariemott@gmail.com. Marie Mott at Facebook. Let me help you. But let's know our rights, and let's learn how to deal intelligently and lawfully with the police. And I believe that we are going to see a change. It's the Marie Mott Show. And as always, if no one has taken the time to tell you that they love you today, Marie loves you. And guess what, baby? It ain't nothing that you can do about that. Y'all have a good day.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A car crashed in Cohutta last night and a man from Cleveland runs out, according to local police. Reports say he was found hiding in a